third grade friends, guess what? Today we get to do thermometers. Kind of fun, right? So we have some vocabulary in this box right here that we're going to talk about first. Okay, I know you've heard of a thermometer. Maybe you use it when you're sick to check your temperature, but obviously we can use a thermometer to check the weather as well. Temperature is the temperature of the day or the temperature of your fever. And then Fahrenheit is a way to tell the temperature. We call it degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, just like that. See that little circle up there? So when you hear the temperature on the news and they say it's going to be 60 degrees, they're using Fahrenheit. Okay, we don't often hear people tell the temperature in Celsius, but let's look over at our thermometer and you're going to learn that there are actually always two ways to say the temperature. Okay, Mrs. Hagen has highlighted some things in yellow. If you have a yellow marker, you could do that as well. All right, so at the top, I can see that I can either tell the temperature in Fahrenheit or Celsius. This side of the thermometer is Fahrenheit. This side of the thermometer is Celsius. So the first thing I see it says hot, 212 degrees Fahrenheit. Well, that's pointing to right here on the thermometer. Okay, that's like if your mom is boiling water on the stove. That would be the temperature. Okay, that would be hot, wouldn't it? You know what boiling water looks like, I'm guessing. The next example they give says hot, 104 degrees Fahrenheit. In the summer, you might hear that the weather is 90, or if you're in Arizona or somewhere even warmer, you could get to 100. Look at where it's pointing. Keep in mind that we're still on the Fahrenheit side. See up at the top, this is the F side and the other side is the C side. Okay, we're only talking about the Fahrenheit side right now. All right, then warm, this is the weather that we're used to in Minnesota on a nice day. It says 70 degrees, that's right here. Okay, you can be putting dots where I'm putting dots because that's where they're pointing to. I'm on the Fahrenheit side of the thermometer. That's also called room temperature. So in your house in the winter, you might set your thermostat to 70 degrees because that's kind of a comfortable temperature for most people. Okay, then it's getting colder as I go down. This one says cool at 50 degrees. Put a little dot right there. Now you know that mostly the weather we've had lately in Minnesota, if we're lucky, it's around 50 degrees, okay? Or 60, which is great. So you kind of know what that feels like. That's their example that they give for that is it's a day for a jacket. You probably wouldn't want to wear a t-shirt. 50 degrees is cool. That's what they're calling it, cool. Now I'm going to go down to cold. We are also familiar with that. 32 degrees. 32 degrees is when water freezes. So that's like ice. So if it was 32 degrees outside and I put a glass of water out there, it would freeze. Okay, anything 32 degrees and below, it's going to freeze. All right, our last example that they give is cold. They should say very cold right here. Minus 10 degrees. Actually, they do say down here very cold. So now the dot is below 0. Here's 0. We're below that. We're minus 10. That's why we have the minus side in front of it. Okay? If we were at this 10 up here, that would just be 10 degrees, but we're minus 10. Okay? So they're going to give us some questions, and we're going to need to look at that thermometer to answer them. All right. The directions say use the thermometer. That's this thermometer that you have right here on the left. Circle the better estimate of the temperature in degrees Fahrenheit. So we're looking at the F side for right now, okay? So I see somebody shoveling snow. Let's look at our thermometer. Would that be 20 degrees? That would be right here. Would that be 20 degrees Fahrenheit, or would that be 80 degrees Fahrenheit? Well, I can look and I can see that this is room temperature is 70. Am I going to be shoveling snow at 80 degrees? Okay, probably not. So then I just circle the one that is the better estimate. Okay, look at number 2. I see people swimming in a pool. Okay, I want you to look at your thermometer and I want you to do that on your own. Which temperature would they be doing that? Here's another one, raking leaves. Mrs. Hagen wants you to do that one also, because there's only 3 of these. So we did 1 together. I want you to do 2 on your own. Okay, so pause the video and look at your thermometer and decide. All right, hopefully you got those 2 done. So let's look at our next set of directions. Write the temperature using degrees Fahrenheit, then write hot, warm, cool, or cold to describe the temperature. So we have 2 things that we're going to do. Okay, we're going to say what the temperature is. I'm going to zoom in a little bit, but you've got your book to look at too. Let's look at number 4. Remember, we are only looking at the Fahrenheit side or the F side. We're not looking over here. Another thing I want to talk about with thermometers is you notice that they're counting up by tens. That means that I know if they're counting up by tens, if this is 40 and this is 50, then we know that this is 45. Okay, and that those little ones in between they're counting by ones on the little ones. So 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65, okay? And then the little tiny hash marks you have to count by ones for those. So let's look at our first thermometer. Look at the red. The red is showing how high it's going up. It's not 70, it's 2 marks over 70. So what would that be? 2 marks over 70. Did you think 72? Hopefully you did. And then my little tiny circle, it's not a big circle, that stands for degrees. And then my capital F stands for Fahrenheit. Okay? So you have to, those little tiny hash marks, you have to kind of look carefully. So you are going to do the next 2. Oops, we forgot to do one thing on number 4. Does anyone remember? So when it's 72 degrees Fahrenheit, we have to use one of our describing words, okay? If it's 72, I can look over here and it's 70 right there, and our word was warm. It's not going to be exact. It was 70. That's close enough. So then I write warm. Okay, and so I use that one. You're not going to use all of the words. Okay, you're actually going to use 2 more to do number 5 and 6. Remember to always look at the F side of the thermometer. Okay, all right, let's look at number 5. Here's 0 right here, and here's 10. That means that this middle one is 5. Okay. It doesn't look to me like it's at the 5. What is it at? It's 1 below that, which is 4 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, what's the describing word? So I have to go back to my bigger thermometer. Okay, and I need to find 4 degrees on that thermometer. Okay, well, here's 0. Okay, think about, we're getting kind of cold temperatures, aren't we? Because we're 4 degrees. We're right here. So what temperature word would you use to describe that? Okay. let you figure that one out, and you're going to write that right here. All right, now you have number 6 to do on your own. Remember to look at the correct side. We're not focusing on the C side yet, okay? Then number 7 says, the thermometer shows the high temperature on Thursday. What was the temperature in degrees Fahrenheit on Thursday? I'm going to write the temperature on the line. Well, I can see that it's not at 100 and it's not at 105. So what is it at? It's a couple degrees over 100. What would that be? Are you thinking 102? I hope you are. Degrees Fahrenheit. Okay? We don't have to write a describing word there. We're just writing the temperature. Now, this next one I want you to do on your own. It says, on Friday, the high temperature was 25 degrees less than what it was on Thursday. So it was 25 less than 102. I'm not going to look at the thermometer to figure it out. I'm going to need to do a subtraction problem. So I'm going to need to take 102 and I'm going to have to subtract 25, lining up my numbers to get my new temperature in degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, go ahead and subtract. Okay, you can't do 2 take away 5, so you're going to need to figure that one out. You're going to need to borrow. So pause the video until you finish that one, and then meet me on the next page. All right, I know I told you not to focus on the C side, but now we are going to be focusing on Celsius. Okay, so we're going to be looking at the other side of the thermometer. Remember up here it says Celsius, so that's degrees Celsius, okay, not degrees Fahrenheit. So we're going to be looking at this side of the thermometer, okay? That's the only difference on this page, okay? All right, here we go. Let's look at the first one. We don't have to review all this thermometer stuff because we just did on the other page. Just make sure that you're staying on the other page, on the Celsius side. Here we go. So I have people on number 8. They have umbrellas and there are leaves falling down. Is it going to be 50 degrees Celsius or 11 degrees Celsius? So let's zoom in. Okay, here's 50 degrees Celsius and here's 11 degrees Celsius. When do you think people might be using umbrellas and seeing leaves? Well, if I look down at 11, it's cold and water is freezing. Is that where you think that you might need an umbrella? No, we do not need one at 11, do we? So at 50 degrees on a nice fall day, we would need an umbrella, okay? So the next one, they're building sandcastles, and the last one, they're taking a walk. So I need you to pick the correct Celsius temperature on those two, okay? Then when you get down here, just like we did on the other page, you are going to be focusing on the C side. Go ahead and circle that on all of them so you don't get confused. And remember that they're counting up by tens. So when you see a 0 and a 10, you know that in the middle, that's a 5, okay? Just like on the next one, I see 90 and 100. That means this is a 95. That bigger mark right there is a 95, okay? And on the last one, I see 20, okay? And I don't see anything, but I know whenever I see this longer mark that that's going to be the 25, okay? So be careful, and then just make sure that you are doing your labels, okay? We're going to do one together, guys, because we also have to write our describing word, hot, warm, cool, or cold. Here we go. Let's do the first one together. Number 11. What is the temperature in Celsius? All right, look where the red part is. Is it right to the 10? It sure looks like it to me, doesn't it? So it is 10 degrees Celsius. Now I'm going to go find that on my big thermometer, and that will give me my describing word. 10 degrees is right here. What kind of a day is that? That is a cool day. Okay. I think it'll be fun, guys. All right. And we are not going to do check your understanding. That can be extra credit, but please go for it if you'd like. I would like you to do number 14. It says the thermometer shows the temperature at 8 a.m. The temperature is 14 degrees higher at 2 p.m. What is the temperature in Celsius at 2 p.m.? So this is 8 p.m. Okay, 8 a.m. So right now we're looking at Celsius. Here's 0, here's 10. The middle is 5, but that's the temperature at 8 a.m. What is the temperature in degrees Celsius at 2 p.m.? Well, we know that it went up 14 degrees. So it's not at 5 anymore. It went up 14 degrees from there. So I'm going to need to do a math problem to figure that out in this space right here. Okay, I have 5, but I need to add 14 to it. And then I need to put my label in Celsius. All right, and that is our homework for today, guys.